Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to American Orthodoxy. I'm your host, as always, Benjamin Michael. Thank you for joining me for a very special episode today, as we are going to be going over the real contents of the infamous Talmud. Before we dive into it, just a little bit of housekeeping stuff. Please like and subscribe. If you're not subscribed to my channel, please do so, as YouTube has kind of been nuking my shit lately. So please subscribe and like the live. As always, I'll go over all super chats at the end. So if you want to support the cause, you can send over a super chat and we'll go over those at the end. Some of you guys may notice I have an addition to my set. I added Tsar St. Nicholas, this beautiful piece of artwork here of Tsar St. Nicholas ripping a cig. And I got a shout out. So I actually got this totally for free. This is not a partnership, but it was this dear brother right here on Instagram, 3-bar cross. Is the one that donated this to me. He gave me the option of what saint I wanted, and I was like, oh man, I want this photo of Tsar St. Nicholas. So I've added Tsar St. Nicholas to my setup, and you guys can give this dear brother a follow and go support his work. He is excellent. Another thing for housekeeping, so I am officially partnered with a bookstore. I'm going to go over that later in the stream. However, just for starters, I wanted to show you guys my very new group chat, where we're going to be going over a new book every month. So this is my Instagram. You go here to links and then go to this Save the West group chat right here. I wonder if I can just copy. I can just copy this and put it right in the chat for you guys. So you guys can join up. We already have oh my goodness, that is a massive link. We already have like 135 people. I literally just started this group chat 2 days ago, not even 2 days ago, a day and a half ago. We already have 140 some people in there. It's very active. And we are going to be actually brainstorming real solutions to how to save the West. That's the main thing that we're doing, is brainstorming real solutions, how to save the West. It's in decline. The first book we're going over is Oswald Spengler's Decline of the West. And you can get it at undergroundcanon.com. Use code Ben to let them know I sent you. I'm going to go over Underground Canon stuff at the end, or probably in the middle of the stream, after we go through some of this stuff on the infamous Talmud. How are you guys doing today? You guys excited to be here? If you don't got Instagram, get Instagram. Instagram is my new favorite platform. I was a ex-supremacist for the longest time. I loved Twitter. Twitter is shit right now. I'm just not going to lie to you. It's total shit. So I have moved over to primarily, I still do Twitter, a little bit. Instagram is where it's at right now, bro. Instagram is cooking. I love Instagram. So go give that a try. Join up in our chat. We got mostly Orthodox people in there, but also a lot of Roman Catholics and Protestants. All right, so let's dive into the topic today. So I'm not sure how long today's stream is going to be. I don't anticipate it to be very long. Oh, I need to follow you back on Instagram? Yeah, if you're a member, then shoot me a DM. I should have. Did you DM me? You gotta DM me, bro. Yeah, if you're a YouTube member, I'll follow you back. And I also do members only streams. I got a stream for you guys today with some Saints quotes that we're gonna go over. We always do a members only live stream at the end of every stream. So if you want to support me, you can sign up for memberships, and I'll follow you back on social media if you DM me to let me know. And if I didn't get your DM, I apologize. Let's talk in the members only live stream, and I'll make sure to follow you back, bro. All right, so the Talmud. So there's a lot of misinformation about the Talmud. This is why I want to go over this, because you guys know I am big on objective facts. Hey, we don't need to twist the truth. The thing with Israel and the Jews is that there's plenty to work with, where we don't need to lie. We don't need to exaggerate. We can just show the plain objective facts straight from the horse's mouth. And generally speaking, that's all we got to do. That's all we got to do, because it is so egregious that we really don't need to exaggerate. I never understood these exaggerations, because they're just not necessary. So those of you who don't know, the Talmud is basically, according to scholars. So we're going to go over some scholarship. There's a guy named Peter Schaeffer who comes out of Princeton University. He's a scholar from Princeton. He wrote the book Jesus in the Talmud, and he is sort of one of the renowned scholars on the topic. I am not pro Zio. I'm extremely anti Zio for the comments. We got some new folks up in here that aren't familiar with my work. I don't like Islam, and I don't like Israel. I don't like Judaism. I don't like any of that shit. I like Christianity. I like Jesus, specifically Orthodox Christianity. Even though I unfortunately share a name with old Benjamin Netanyahu, old Bibi. He could only have gotten that idea from Benjamin Netanyahu. If you guys aren't watching John Kiriaku's content, bro, what are you even doing? What are you doing? John Kiriaku is like my new favorite part. That dude is hilarious. He's so unintentionally funny. Like he doesn't even try to be funny. It's just like he's just funny. Like the way he tells stories, he's got to be the best storyteller like in world history, bro. Like got to be the best world storyteller. But anyways, I don't want to get distracted. What is the Talmud? So other than the Tanakh, so the Tanakh would be what like Christians know as like the Old Testament. Other than the Tanakh, the Talmud is the most authoritative text for rabbinic Jews. This is actually why I think it's wrong to say that like Jesus was a Jew, because like when we talk about like Jews in the modern sense, like what do we mean, right? Well, we always mean Talmudic rabbinic Jews. Like that's what we mean when we're talking about Jews in the modern, colloquial sense, right? So it's wrong to say that Jesus was a Jew in that sense, because he obviously didn't subscribe to any of these teachings that are found in the Talmud. And you'll actually see how they twist a lot of Old Testament content. They twist a lot of Old Testament content that is, unfortunately taken out of context. We're also not. Hey, look, today we're not going to be going over. We're not just going to be going over what's in the Talmud. We're actually going to show how they apply this, how the Israelis and the Jews actually apply this, because you guys know how like people do this with Christians. They'll take something out of context from the Old Testament, about like, I don't know, stoning someone to death. And they'll be like, okay, what Christians are stoning people to death? You know what I mean? What Christians are stoning people to death? So I'm going to be showing also like not only the Talmud, but also the actual application of it. And like I said, I don't think this stream is going to be super long. And then we're going to also talk about Christ in the Talmud. We're also going to talk about that. Folks are flaming me in the comments for being unk. I don't even know. What did I do that was unk, bro? What did I say that was unk? What did I say that was unk? I'm not even 30 yet, bro. How can I be unk when I'm not even 30? Tell me that. Hey, someone explain that to me. Y'all be calling unk anyone over the age of 21, bro. If you're over 21, you're unk at this point. So, all right. So the Talmud is it's basically broken up into two primary main parts. You have the Mishnah, which this is going to be basically the code of Jewish law and teachings. This was like in Hebrew. This was compiled about 200 years after Christ by Rabbi Judah the Prince. And then the second part is the Gemara. And if anyone here speaks Hebrew, I apologize for my mispronunciation. Listen, guys, I'm an Anglo. I'm a white boy. I don't know how to say this shit, all right? You guys were making fun of me for my takia pronunciation the other day on Nick's stream, bro. I'm sorry, all right? I'm a white boy, all right? I don't know how to say this shit, all right? But anyways, the Gemara is this is like the Aramaic part of the Talmud. It's like commentary from various rabbis throughout history. So those are the two parts. And then of course you have the two actual Talmuds. So you have the Babylonian Talmud, which doesn't come till later. That's the 7th century time frame. This one is more authoritative to Jews. That's why I'm starting with it. And then the other one is going to be the Jerusalem Talmud. So then this was compiled about 450 AD. Now, I already brought up Peter Schaeffer, so we are going to be referencing him a couple times today. Peter Schaeffer is a renowned scholar. Basically, he presents that the Talmud was written as a response to Christianity. So a lot in the Talmud is actually considered like a response to the claims of Christianity. Look, guys, if you read Religion of the Apostles by Father Stephen DeYoung, you'll see that the continuity with what the Second Temple Jewish, that Second Temple Hebrews were practicing. Like the religion they were practicing is foreign to like modern Jews, right? The continuity, right, is truly found in the Orthodox Church, which is why he makes the point that, hey, you could plug a first century Jew, right, into an Orthodox church and they would recognize a lot of the liturgy, right? Because the liturgical practices, this was before, this is before all the corruption, which came with the Talmud, right? In the liturgical practices, there was a lot of overlaps. So anyways, definitely check out Religion of the Apostles by Father Stephen DeYoung. That is the best book when it comes to apologetics against Islam, against Judaism, like basically everyone. Even if you're Protestant or Roman Catholic, bro, you got to get this book. Religion of the Apostles by Father Stephen DeYoung. Because it demonstrates how the Talmudic Jews strayed completely, right, from the actual, ancient practices of the true God, that the true God prescribed in the Old Testament. So how relevant is this today? Well, let's look at my boy BB and see what he has to say.
We change Israel's security doctrine. We initiate, we attack, we surprise, and we attack those enemies that seek our destruction, that seek to kill us. We attack them before they have a chance to do so. If you know Hebrew, Akam leorgecha, Ashkem leorgo. Kill them first.
Yeah, kill them first. Yeah, so he's citing the Talmud there. So, and this was actually not that long ago. I actually want to say this conference was very recently. So this is very relevant, guys. These guys are like leadership in Israel, and I'm going to show you guys all the examples of this because you're going to be shocked at how prevalent this stuff is. But yeah, I mean, so he's citing the Talmud. This is the current and longest standing prime minister in Israeli history, citing the Talmud. So, yes, this is relevant to anyone saying that this is not relevant. They don't know what they're talking about, all right? They don't know what they're talking about. You know what I'm saying? All right. So, I'm going to show y'all from the horse's mouth, bro. We're going to go straight to the actual Talmud itself. All right, y'all know those graphics? Y'all know those graphics where it's like, it's like, the Talmud says to kill all goys. So that's not what we're going to be. We're going to be going straight to the Talmud. Oh, wait a minute. That's basically what the Talmud says, by the way. That's basically, so this is Jerusalem Talmud for Kiddushin 411. Again, no idea how to pronounce this shit. Bear with me. I apologize to those who speak Hebrew. But this is what it says. It literally says, kill the best of Gentiles, smash the head of the best of snakes. And this is the Hebrew. Every time you see Gentile, by the way, in the English translations, it's going to be goy, goyim. Oh, I totally forgot. Before we go crazy here with all this stuff, hang on a second. We gotta talk about this ADL tweet real quick. Hang on 1 second. Because this is actually what sparked my idea to do this, by the way. The whole inspiration for doing this whole stream was because the ADL tweeted a slur doesn't stop being a slur because teenagers started using it. Today, New York Times on LanguageCom treats the anti-Semitic slur goy slop as a fun linguistic curiosity rather than what it is, a term rooted in white supremacist conspiracy theories. Normalizing this kind of language is dangerous. Goy slop is not just edgy slang. It combines goy, the Hebrew word that colloquially refers to non-Jews, with slop to promote a conspiracy theory that Jewish people deliberately poison non-Jews with cheap food to keep them docile. It was coined and spread by anti-Semites and white supremacists. No amount of teenage adoption changes that origin. Such terms spread negative stereotypes and conspiracy theories Their normalization is exactly what bigots coined them aspire to. A bit more on this here. So this is what inspired, because I was like, yo, do you guys know how many times the term goy is used in the Talmud? 1,500 times, bro. 1,500 times the term goy is used in the Talmud. And this is one of them. Once again, every time you see Gentile or Gentiles, the Hebrew word is goy or goyim. Thank you for the super chats, guys. As always, I will go over all the super chats at the end, as always. So the ADL, guys, it's an anti-Semitic conspiracy theory to use the term goy slop, because you can't use our language, guys. You're not allowed to do that, goy, or I mean non-Jews, Gentiles. So, and then I wasn't even going to get into this today, but we all know about all of the times that the term goy and goyim was used in the Epstein files, referring to us like we're freaking subhuman, which we're going to get into that, by the way, because it's straight in the Talmud. But guys, like, this is insane. And this is not out of context. I'm going to show you guys how this is actually put into practice in Israel by Jews. Kill the best of Gentiles. This is in their holy scriptures. Bro, like, listen, you guys know I'm no friend of Muslims. The Muslims have similar shit in the Quran. This is crazy. This is crazy. Kill the best of Gentiles. Wild. That's wild to me, bro. So, not only that, this is being openly taught. This is where it gets crazy, guys. This is where it gets insane. This is where it gets insane. So a top rabbi, this is not like some obscure rabbi teaching this. This is a top military academy in Israel that this rabbi is teaching at, bro. And he justified the killing of, I don't know what I'm just on YouTube. I'm not on TikTok right now, so we can say killing. The killing of babies, bro. So there was an investigation, and they found out this rabbi was literally justifying this, like, in his teachings, bro. In his teachings. And once again, this is not some obscure rabbi. No, this is a rabbi that's teaching at a top military academy in Israel. Bro, the stuff that I have on this part, how this is put into practice is crazy. It's crazy. So there was a survey done by Penn State on the general populace, on the general Israeli population, guys. Wait till you see. This is crazy. Okay. So this is the report. 82% of Jews supported the transfer or expulsion of residents of the Gaza Strip to other countries. 82% of them. 54% of Jewish response were very supportive of this. 56% of Jews support the transfer, forced expulsion of Arab citizens of Israel to other countries. Citizens of Israel, bro, do you realize how insane? So hang on a second. 56% of the Jewish population in Israel wants to forcefully transfer Arab citizens of Israel. They want to deport them out of the country as already citizens just for being Arab. 56%. Bear in mind, by the way, that the Canaanites are also indigenous to this land. So that's who this is talking about. So this isn't just talking about the Ottomans who showed up, right, and started raping and pillaging. No, this is the Canaanites who are indigenous to this land, just as indigenous as the Jews are. Because there's really two populations that are indigenous to Israel. It's the Canaanites and it's the Jews. Here's where that's crazy, bro. Advocating for killing all the inhabitants of Gaza. nearly half, 47%, 47 cruise missiles, 47%, guys. 47% of the Israeli population, the general population, is in favor of killing every man, woman, and child in Gaza. All its inhabitants. So whenever anyone brings up the terrorism of Hamas, and rightfully so, or how a lot of the Gazan population supports Hamas, which, by the way, is, I think, to be determined, because most of the living population there wasn't even alive for the election in the early 2000s, early mid-2000s. Bro, 47%, you can just be like, yo, man, almost half of the Israeli population are supporting terrorism. That's terrorism, bro. If you support the killing of all inhabitants in the Gaza Strip, including men, women, and children, bro, that is terrorism. You are supporting terrorism. So when the Talmud says to kill the best of the Gentiles, bro, this is evident. This manifests in the general populace. We saw just the other day. This was insane, bro. I know you guys saw this on Twitter. The national security minister. This is the sitting national security minister. The sitting national security minister of Israel. For every tear of an Israeli mother, 1,000 Lebanese mothers must weep. For every tear of an Israeli mother, 1,000 Lebanese mothers must weep. All of Lebanon must burn. He says this, enough with the ping pong. In the Middle East, you don't win with measured responses and restraint. You need to go berserk, to obliterate, to crush the terror. Bro, I got news for you. If you're advocating for Lebanese mothers to be weeping, you are the terror. You are the terrorist. We always hear from Israel that they're trying to stop the terrorism. Bro, you are the terrorism. Hello? This is advocating for genocide. I don't throw the term genocide out very much, guys. You know me. I don't like using that term. This is advocating for genocide. That's what this is. There's no other way to describe this. National Security Minister of Israel on Twitter openly advocating for genocide. This post was so bad that even Shabbos Goy X had to put this little disclaimer, bro. Look at this shit. They had to say the post violated X rules. However, X determined that it may be beneficial, it may be in the public's interest for the post to remain accessible because they want people to see. They want people to see what we're dealing with. Even Shabbos Goy Twitter, bro. Even Shabbos Goy Twitter. Now, I've shown you guys this, I don't know how many times. I still can't believe this is real. Like, I cannot believe this is real. That the finance minister of Israel openly said in August of 2024 that the only reason that they're not genociding the entire Gazan population, 2 million is the population of Gaza. The finance minister explicitly said that the only reason they're not doing it is because of the backlash from the world. The only thing keeping these people in check, is the fact that the West would never let them get away with that. I mean, it's shocking that they've gotten away with what they've already gotten away with. And by the way, those of you who are just joining, this is what we're talking about. This was the Talmudic passage that we were referencing that says to kill the best of the Gentiles. And we're showing that this is not just a taken out of context little Talmudic verse, guys. No. This is This is put into practice today. Today. 2/3 of Gaza war dead, this is UN reporting, 2/3 of Gaza war dead are women and children. Women and children. This gets worse. This gets even worse, guys. You want to know? It's actually worse than 2/3. Because guess what? There was a leaked. No. Guardian, go away with your stupid. I don't want to support anything. I don't want to support your nonsense, bro. Are you kidding me? I swear, bro. How is it going to let me get rid of this? There we go. Maybe later. Okay, here we go. It's worse than 2/3. It's worse than 2/3. So there was a leaked Israeli IDF document. There was a leaked document that showed the civilian death rate in Gaza was 83%. 83%. And this, by the way, this has been cited. So basically 8,900. This was, right now we're up to 75,000 total. At least, probably more. But this was back when the death toll was 53,000 and they had only killed 8,900 combatants. They had only killed 8,900 combatants, bro. So when people say it's a genocide, I kind of get it. I kind of get it. Like I said, I think people get bogged down in the debates of whether or not it's a genocide, and I think it distracts from, the bigger points, right? But like, I understand why one might call this a genocide. All right. Let's move on to the next Talmudic passage. So when fighting a war, this one talks about how Jews are entitled to rape non-Jewish women and children on the battlefield. And we're going to see how this is actually put into practice, by the way. We're going to see how this is actually put into practice. Again, I don't know how to pronounce this shit. What is the halakha? With regard to the permissibility for a priest who goes to war to engage in intercourse with a beautiful woman captured in the war. Does one say that the case of a beautiful woman is a novelty and that the Torah permits a man to engage? Notice how they misconstrue the Torah. And I'm not ignoring the chat. There's just nothing interesting in the chat yet. I mean, you guys are just talking about. You guys are actually on topic today. Shockingly, normally there's like all these like random debates about like, was Augustine a real monergist? Like while I'm talking about Israel. That's normally what my group chat looks like. Today, you guys are actually talking about, and I can't tell if this Blake guy is trolling, or if he's being serious. But anyways, does one say the case where a beautiful woman is a novelty that in the Torah permits a man engaging intercourse with a Gentile woman? Consequently, it is no different in the case of a priest and no different in the case of an Israelite. Both are permitted to engage in intercourse with this woman. Now, here's where this gets scary, bro. Who is this Blake? Okay, this Blake guy might actually be... We may actually have to ban this dude, bro. This dude's starting to annoy me. Okay, he said sorry. Don't ban him. He said sorry. If he keeps going, ban him. If he keeps going, ban him. Because he's starting to annoy me a little bit. I'm not gonna lie. So in other words, they're entitled to, the consent is not required. They're entitled to have sex with a non-Jewish woman and children on the battlefield. You might say that sounds like a little far-fetched. Benjamin Michael, if that's even your real name. Except the IDF's chief rabbi explicitly said this. And the very biased Times of Israel reporting, very anti-Jew, anti-Semitic Times of Israel reporting, the IDF's own chief rabbi literally advocating that during wartime, it is permitted to rape non-Jews. It sounds an awful lot like the same doctrine in Islam, by the way, which we hear a lot about. But we don't as often hear about it in. We don't as often hear about this in the old Judaism. You know what I'm saying? So nobody wants to talk about Judaism. Everyone wants to talk about Islam. You guys know I talk about both. I'm just saying that basically the same doctrine is there. So about a month and a half ago now, there was this New York Times article. So this individual, Nicholas Kristof, for the New York Times, interviewed 14 different people, and basically who said they witnessed or personally experienced sexual assault from IDF soldiers, including dogs. Dogs were involved in this. So, and this was just a month. You guys might say, oh well, that quote from the IDF, a quote from the IDF rabbi is from it's not from recently. So, well, this is from like a month and a half ago. So this is like, again, this is actively being practiced, right? So you can accuse me, you can try to accuse me of taking these passages out of context, right? Explicitly saying that it's permissible, that you're entitled to sex with a non-Jew during wartime, right? And consent isn't mentioned. And then you can accuse me of taking out of context. The problem is, guys, you're also going to have to accuse the IDF of taking out of context. You're going to have to accuse the chief rabbi for the IDF taking out of context, openly advocating for the sexual assault of non-Jews during wartime. So yeah, sure. I get, if you want to look, I'll take that one on the nose. If you want to lump me in with the IDF in taking this out of context, or the IDF's chief rabbi in taking this out of context, all right, that's fine. The point is, just like we argue with Islam, guys. So like people might have different interpretations of maybe someone like just rejects the hadith and they want to say that Aisha. There's actually people who believe this. They want to believe that Aisha was 18 and that Surah 65:4 isn't really talking about prepubescent girls and all this shit. It's like, okay, you can have that personal view, bro, but the point is that how it's applied en masse, right? How it's applied en masse when you have certain Muslim countries that have as high as 76% of marriages are child marriages. Yeah. So it doesn't matter if you personally, right, think it's taken out of context or you reject the hadith. It's the same thing applies to this, guys. You can say that I'm wrong about my interpretation of the Talmud here, or you can say that I'm taking out of context or whatever. The point is that it's being put into practice by the IDF and by the rabbis. That's the point. There is no legal penalty for killing non-Jews, even outside of wartime. Even outside of wartime. Sanhedrin 57a. Again, straight from the horse's mouth. Wherever there is liability for capital punishment, this Tanakh teaches it as it was taught in the first clause. With regard to bloodshed, if a Gentile murders another Gentile, or a Gentile murders a Jew, he is liable. But if a Jew murders a Gentile, he is exempt. If a Jew murders a Gentile, he is exempt. Interesting. Isn't that curious? And guess what, guys? Guess what? This is put into practice in their legal system. This manifests in the Israeli legal system because A lot of people don't know, but from 2010 to 2019, there were about 3,600 Palestinians that were murdered by Israeli settlers, and third-party sources have confirmed this. Guess how many were actually charged with murder? Guess how many were actually charged with murder? 6%. 6% of them were charged with murder. Not even convicted. I don't even know how many were convicted. I'm just talking about how many were charged. Only 6%. 3,600 murders take place. Only 6% of those responsible charged. Not even convicted, charged. So again, what does the Talmud say? If a Jew murders a Gentile, he's exempt. And this manifests in their legal system. It actually manifests in their legal system. Yeah, someone said Muslims have the same policy. I'm sure they do. That I agree. Like, this is one of the, like, those of you who are unfamiliar with my channel, I go after both. I don't do this false dichotomy bullshit, bro. I don't do it. All right? I don't like Judaism and I don't like Islam. They're both satanic. So there was an Israeli terrorist, Baruch Goldstein. And he murdered, this sounds like something Muslims would do, right? So he murdered 29 Palestinians praying in a mosque. And bro, this guy is like a national hero. This guy is literally like a national hero in Israel. There's a national monument to this guy in Israel. And by the way, I've talked, okay, after this, I'll talk about the organizations that founded Israel. Bro, this guy literally, so 10% of Israeli Jews think terrorist Baruch Goldstein is a national hero. There is literally a monument. Look at this guy. Look at this this dude that is literally kissing his national monument. So his great accomplishment was murdering 29 Palestinians. That was like his great accomplishment. You guys already know about the three terrorist organizations, the Haganah, the Irgun, and the Lehi, that literally founded the IDF. And a lot of their leadership became leadership in the Israeli government. Prime Minister Begin, he was a mastermind behind the bombing of the King David Hotel committed by the Irgun. Ben Gurion was a leader for the Haganah, which was behind the destruction of a British vessel that ended up killing more Jewish civilians than anybody else. By the way, same with the bombing of the King David Hotel. The bombing of the King David Hotel didn't even kill that many Brits. It mostly killed Arabs and Jews. So the Israelis, they have a track record here of propping up actual terrorists just because they killed some goyim. They killed some goyim. So I just want to reinforce how insane this is. Take a screenshot if you need to. This is straight off Safaria. This is their source. So don't say that I'm taking it out of context or some shit. If a Jew murders a Gentile, he is exempt. That's what their Talmud says. And it's put into practice actively in their legal system and in their propping up of actual terrorists, literal terrorists. By the way, actually, let me see if I can find this. Do you guys know that? So these guys are known. I think it's these guys. I don't know a lot about this, so don't quote me on this. But these guys are known as like the founder, like the first terrorists. They were first century, primarily operating in Judea and Jerusalem, targeted assassinations of Roman officials and Jewish collaborators. So these guys are known. Like some of the older classes on terrorism that I've been in, some of the stuff that hasn't been updated since like the freaking 1980s, still cites these guys as like the first terrorists. So listen, in the modern day, like pretty much all 10 of the top 10 terrorist groups in the global terrorism index are Muslim groups. So don't get me wrong, right? Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying, like, listen, terrorism is a huge problem in Islam. It's a bigger problem because there's more Muslims, right? But it is a problem in Judaism as well. All right, so this is the infamous passage that people will cite often when talking about how goyim are not they're not actually human. They don't have the same status as human beings. And you, my sheep, the sheep, my pasture. Again, notice how it's always taking out of context. And as we get into the teachings on Christ, you guys are going to see. We're actually going to watch. Sam Shamoon has a really good video on this that we're going to go through, because you're going to see how the Jewish supremacy really manifests. But the Jewish people are called man, but Gentiles are not called man, since the Torah states with regard to ritual impurity imparted in a tent, if a man dies in a tent, evidently impurity imparted by a tent does not apply to Gentiles. You can see how much of a reach this is, right? You can see the logic here, how much of a reach this is. But this is their teaching. They take the divine revelation of the Torah, right, and they twist it into this nonsense. They twist it into this nonsense, talking about how goyim aren't people. And we're going to see how this manifests in their policy here in a second. But I just want, like, so it's not exaggerated, guys. It's not exaggerated when we jokingly talk about how they literally use the term goy and goyim to refer to us as animals, bro. That is like, what else? What other interpretation could you take of this? It's saying the Jewish people are called man, but Gentiles are not called man. How does this manifest? By the way, make sure you guys are screenshotting this and saving it. Make sure you guys save this stuff. So you can see there are so many articles like this. Bro. The amount of... This is the defense minister. I can find some by Bibi himself. I can find some by Ben Gurion. I can find some by, obviously, the finance minister. But this is the defense minister calling the Gazans human animals, right? Human animals, saying that's who they're fighting. They're fighting human animals. This is a common sentiment. This notion that the Goyim are not people of the same status as Jews, and you're going to really see this when we get into the stuff on Christ and the teachings on Christ. Bro, they are open. Like, Judaism is inherently Jewish supremacy, bro. It's inherently Jewish supremacy. I've been saying this. They literally believe that their race has a unique status above everybody else. They unironically believe this. Right, I mean, right here. This is an example of it. Israeli lawmaker, once again, this is in their legal system. This is found in their legal system. Israeli lawmaker proclaims supremacy of the Jewish race. This is inherent to their religion. They believe they are superior to all the Goyim, unironically. So, no, I'm not just taking this out of context. Nope. Nope. It's right there in the text. It's right there in the text. I'm going to show you guys this one more time before we move on to the next one. Gentiles are not called man. The Jewish people are called man. And this is their justification. Numbers 19:14, if a man dies in a tent, evidently impurity imparted by a tent does not apply to Gentiles. That's their justification. And it's manifested amongst their leadership, amongst their legal system. On the topic of race, so this sounds like something out of the Book of Mormon, bro. This is like I wonder if this is where I actually bet this is where Joseph Smith got it from. This is probably where Joseph Smith got it from, because this is the Talmud literally says that skin being turned black was a curse. So you guys know how the Book of Mormon says this. The Book of Mormon says this. Well, it looks like that's where he got it from. He got it from the Talmud. Sanhedrin 108b, saying that they were punished, and the punishment was skin being turned black. And once again, am I taking it out of context? Am I really taking it out of context? If this sentiment is literally found at their highest levels, am I really taking it out of context? They say this shit openly, bro, with like no backlash. This is the thing. Bro, he said it in a sermon. Do you see this? He used this in a sermon. Unashamed. Zero shame, bro. Zero shame. This is, I mean, you see a lot of the same stuff from the Mormon population too. The Mormon population did the same thing. You know, that's why they banned blacks from the priesthood until literally the 1990s, I think it was, right? Was it the 1990s or 1980s? I can't remember. But you see this actually manifest in their policy at a systemic level. So you want to talk about systemic racism? How about we talk about the systemic racism in Israel? Not just against blacks, right? But against all of the Goyim, of which the blacks are, of course, part of. Sorry, Hebrew Israelites. You guys are not Jews. We was Jews and shit. We was Jews and shit. Open Jewish supremacy, particularly anti-black racism, openly. Gets worse. It gets worse. So, and it's not just that he's to the comments saying, "Oh, he's racist." So what, bro? This is from their the point is, it's from the Talmud. It's from the Talmud. That's the point. It's literally in the Talmud. So it also says it gets worse. Even if they convert, so because they're quote unquote racially inferior according to the Talmud, even if they convert, they're still not considered Jewish. So it says, so this is the term used to describe the black population in the Talmud. And it says their conditions is crazy. Their conditions disqualify a person from performing the temple service. So they, just because they're black, they even if they convert to Judaism, according to the Talmud, they literally are not able to do certain, partake in certain things in the Jewish practices. And once again, this anti-black racism, it's systemic. It's downstream from the Talmud, bro. You have literally like a systemic issue, right? A systemic issue where blacks are given contraceptives without consent. They're literally being sterilized just for being black. So once again, I'm showing you guys what the Talmud says. It says that black skin is a curse. It says that even if you convert to Judaism, your condition doesn't allow you to be receive full status as a Jew. And then we're seeing how this actually manifests. You have rabbis calling them monkeys in sermons, unashamed in sermons. And you have mass sterilization of the black population there. Yeah, I'm making it up. So the guy said I'm making it up when I literally am showing you guys the actual text in the Talmud. But yeah, I'm making it up. I'm making it up. I'm going to the Sefaria website, which is a Jewish website. I'm going to a Sefaria website, which is a Jewish website, and I'm being accused of making this up and then showing how it manifests. I'm also making up the rabbi, which was reported by the Times of Israel. I'm also making that up. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Here's where it gets. Here's where it gets a little bit. Okay, so we're gonna ban this dude, bro. You didn't show shit. Mods, go ahead and ban this dude. You didn't show shit when I literally put it on the screen. My goodness. You're going to like it. Actually, I kind of want him not to be banned now so he can see this one. I kind of want him not to be banned so he can see this one. This is so gross. I don't even like. I don't like reading this one is going to be rough. A girl who is 3 years old and one day, whose father arranged her betrothal, is betrothed through intercourse. 3 years, 1 day. 3 years, 1 day. And in the case where the childless husband of a girl 3 years and 1 day old dies, if his brother, the Yavam, engages in intercourse with her, he acquires her as his wife. So there's two events here. 2 events here where it's being permitted to sleep with a 3-year-old girl. This is worse than Islam. Remember we had Itachi talking about the 5-year-old girl on our last stream? This is worse. This is way worse. Are you kidding me? I can't even believe this is unashamed on the internet, guys. That you can go find this on Sefaria.com. Here's the reference. You're saying I'm making it up. Bro, it literally says right here that a 3-year-old girl is betrothed through intercourse. I can't. How is this available? Bro, like, how has the Jewish leadership not shut this shit down, bro? How is this even available in English? How is this available in English for us to go look at and see what their teachings are? And guess what? Oh, what do you know? Another very anti-Semitic source, the Jerusalem Post, very anti-Semitic source, talking about Israel trying to legalize pedophilia. What do you know? When the Talmud says you can have sex with a 3-year-old girl, all of a sudden the population starts to try to justify it. What a shocker. What a shocker. I'm shocked. This is my shocked face. It doesn't stop there either. It does not stop there either. You guys have seen this probably. You guys have probably seen this frequently. How Israel is a safe haven. It is a safe haven for the pedophile population. I wonder why. Israel becoming a refuge for pedophiles. Significantly higher proportion of cases in the ultra-Orthodox community. Isn't that crazy? What a coincidence. What a coincidence. So when their authoritative text says that a 3-year-old girl is betrothed through intercourse, what a shocker that pedophilia becomes rampant in Israel. What an absolute shock. What an absolute shock. There was actually a report. This is where it gets crazy, bro. So there was actually a report. Yeah, I'm not Catholic, dude. I'm not Catholic. Bro's bringing up the Catholic Church. I'm Orthodox. Our priests are allowed to get married. Yeah, there are polls on this stuff that I can try to dig up, and maybe I'll post them on my Instagram and stuff. But you can see right here, right? This is a report. This is a Justice Ministry report in 2021. Only one indictment was filed for trafficking. Only one indictment, not even a charge or not even a conviction. Only one indictment. Only one indictment. So they're not even like trying to put a stop to this stuff, really. So again, this is a systemic problem. This is a systemic problem. So no, I'm not taking it out of context. I'm not doing what the atheists do with the Old Testament, bro. I'm showing you how this is actually put into practice in the modern day with the Jews in Israel. So this next one is similar. Basically, this next one is saying that if a Jew rapes a non-Jewish child, the child is to be executed. This is from the Mishnah Torah, which is not part of the Talmud, but it is still very authoritative in Jewish law. If, by contrast, a Jewish male enters into relations with a Gentile woman, when he does so intentionally, she should be executed. She should be executed. So if a Jewish male has sex with a Gentile woman intentionally, she is put to death because she caused a Jew to be involved in an unseemly transgression, as is the law with regard to an animal. So applying the law to a Gentile, to a goy, as if they are an animal. This applies regardless of whether the Gentile woman was a minor of 3 years age. Bro, I actually can't, I actually, every time I see this shit, bro, I can't even believe, I'm actually like speechless right now. Do you guys see this? Do you see what I see? Are you seeing what I'm seeing? This is an authoritative Jewish text saying that if a Jewish man has sex with a Gentile woman, she is executed. And the reason is because that's what they do with animals. And it doesn't matter even if she's 3 years old. Someone said it's kind of blurry. There you go. I made it bigger because I want you guys to see this. And I want you to be able to Screenshot it. Fact check it. I mean, I don't know what there is to fact check. This is from Safaria.com. Insane, bro. So a lot of the same stuff that I already pointed out, the previous news articles, how they're not even convicting child traffickers in Israel, how child molesters flee to Israel, how they're literally trying to legalize pedophilia, that kind of shit. All that applies to that same passage that we just read. But guess what, guys? It's not just girls. Nope. Therefore, just as one engages in intercourse actively is not liable if he is less than 9 years old, as the intercourse of such a child does not have the status of intercourse, so too, if a child is less than 9 years old engages in homosexual intercourse passively, do you understand what it's saying? The one who engages in intercourse with him is not liable. I need to make this one bigger too, so you guys can see this. Therefore, just as one who engages in intercourse actively is not liable if he is less than 9 years old, as the intercourse of such a child does not have the status of intercourse, so too a child who is less than 9 years old who engages in homosexual intercourse passively, you guys know what it's saying, right? Being sodomized, the one who engages in intercourse with him is not liable. It's not even punishable. It's saying it's not even punishable. They say we exaggerate this shit, bro. This is what I'm talking. Remember at the beginning of the stream when I was like, how I don't understand why people exaggerate the stuff with like Judaism. What is there to exaggerate? Like why do I need to exaggerate when this is literally saying an adult can sodomize a 9-year-old and not be liable for any punishment? Why would I? And the previous one we just read, the same thing applies to 3-year-old girls. Bro, someone said, your claim most Jews don't believe this stuff is true. The leaders and lawmakers they elect in Israel clearly do believe this stuff is, but yeah, exactly. Because I guess someone in the chat was, I don't know where that went. Someone in the chat was contesting whether or not this was like really applied in Israel. I'm showing you how the law reflects it, guys. I'm also showing you how the law reflects it. All right. Here's another doozy. Sanhedrin 57a. With regard to robbery, the term permitted is relevant as it is permitted for a Jew to rob a Gentile. So you can steal from somebody as long as they're goy. Don't steal from the Jews. You can steal from the goy. Oh, here. I want to make sure you guys get the Sanhedrin 57a. Again, guys, why would I need to exaggerate when it's right here? It's like right here. This one I thought it's kind of funny. So the reason why I think this is funny is because you guys know how we always hear, Evan, you're going to love this one. You guys know how we always hear, oh, well, in Israel, they're not throwing people off. They're not throwing gay people off buildings, bro. Like they are in Muslim countries. In Muslim countries, they throw people off buildings, bro. So this is about a sodomite. This is about a homosexual. And this is the punishment. He is made to stand at the edge of the platform, and then one of the witnesses who testified against him pushes him down by the hips so that he falls face up onto the ground. So we always hear from like the Israel shills, right? We always hear from the Israel. We're not just banning for disagreement. We're banning for trolls. We always hear from the Israel shills guys that, oh, well, at least Israel isn't throwing gay people off buildings, when their Talmud unironically prescribes you to be thrown off a building if you are gay. I just thought it was ironic. I just thought it was kind of ironic because we always hear this shit from the Israelis, from the Israeli shills. So I just thought that was kind of funny. And by the way, like, this is another example of, like, I mean, you do actually have an anti-gay sentiment there. You do have some terrorism that's committed by Jewish. Yeah, exactly, Evan. It's always the conservatives. Guys, you should support Israel because they love gay people. You should support Israel because they love gay people. What are we doing here, bro? What are we doing here? But clearly they don't. They don't even love gay. They actually don't. They're stabbing them, actually. So anyways, I just thought that one was ironic. All right. We got a couple more here before we move on to the stuff on Christ. The stuff on Christ is insane. It is necessary only to teach of the one who withholds the wages of hired laborer for a Gentile to do so to another Gentile, and for a Gentile to do so to a Jew is permitted. But for a Jew to do so to a Gentile, it is permitted. So you can withhold wages. So a Jewish person can withhold wages from a Gentile, but it's not permitted. Do you guys see it's constant double standard? Throughout the Talmud, it's double standard. It's a Jewish supremacy throughout it, right? There's Jewish supremacy demonstrated throughout it. This is Sanhedrin 57a has a bunch of absolute doozies. So you guys can take a screenshot of this. By the way, please like and subscribe, guys. We got 103 viewers right now. Glory to God. Please like and subscribe if you're not subscribed. Also, if you want to support me, you can sign up for memberships. I do a members-only live stream at the end of every channel. Yeah, we already talked about the book Jesus in the Talmud. We're going to talk about it here in a minute at the end of the stream. We already referenced Peter Schaefer at the beginning. But sign up for memberships, guys, if you're interested in joining the members-only live stream at the end of the stream today. And also, I'll follow you back on social media, and then I'm going to go over a bookstore here in a minute. But yeah, you guys can take a screenshot here. Yet another double standard demonstrating Jewish supremacy. And it doesn't stop there, because it's also permitted to lie to Gentiles. Consequently, if there is no consideration of the sanctification of God's name, the court does approach the case circuitously. Apparently, it is permitted to deceive a Gentile. So you can lie. So this is their own takia. You can lie to a Gentile. You can lie to the goy. You can't lie to the Jews. You can lie to the goy. Jewish takia. Yeah, literally. All right. So we're gonna dive into this is the best part, guys. This is the part where we're gonna dive into where it talks about Christ, because there's some absolutely disgusting things that it talks about with Christ. But first, I want to show you guys this website that I'm partnered with, this bookstore. It's called Underground Canon. Now they have a lot of pretty insane texts here, and a lot of which you're not going to be able to read. They have a mix of like far right and far left. Like they have stuff from Stalin on here. They have Mein Kampf on here, but they don't just have stuff like that. They have other like normal stuff. They have stuff from Jared Taylor. Decline of the West is what we're going to be going through in my my group chat on Instagram. So if you guys want to be part of that, you should pick up a copy of Decline of the West. We're going to be going through Volume 1 and Volume 2. This is a great text to kind of understand the sort of the prescription of what's kind of went wrong with the West. It has good stuff in here. It does have For My Legionaries, although I'm trying to get him to get. He's working on getting the copy that doesn't have, a swastika on the front, because obviously it's, for those of you that don't know, the Legionnaires used the swastika before the Nazis did. That's why there's a swastika on it. But obviously you can't really read that in a public transportation. That would not go well. But he does have For My Legionaries on here. He's got, this is a great book here, The Sword of Christ. We're going to be going through this in my group as well in a couple months. He's going to be getting St. John Chrysostom's Against the Jews on here soon. He's also got G.K. Chesterton. He's got some G.K. Chesterton. So go check this out, guys. It's called undergroundcanon.com. Please use code Ben if you're going to get anything. If you're going to get any books, use code Ben for a discount. To let them know I sent you. But these guys are great. They're publishing works that nobody else is willing to publish, or at least not publish. They're working with a publisher and then they're selling the books. But go pick up some books there. And then if you guys decide to get, any of them, please use code Ben, to let them know that I sent you, and you get a discount if you use my code as well. So, once again, it's undergroundcanon.com. Go ahead and shop for what books you want, and then use code Ben if you're interested in anything they got there. And they're expanding. I have a whole list of books that he's adding, to his canon. So he hasn't even added my requests yet, but when he does, then there'll be even more. And one of them is going to be St. John Chrysostom Against the Jews, which I'm very excited about him adding. Okay. All right. So let's dive into now what the Talmud has to say about Christ. And we're going to let our buddy Sam Shamoun, who has come around again to Orthodoxy, he walks through. This is a great video.
Yep. Here's
he
the
walks
article.
through this.
Okay, you ready?
And he goes through Peter Schaeffer's scholarship on this.
I'm quoting Jesus in the Talmud. Jesus in the Talmud, let me enlarge it. Peter Schaeffer, here are his credentials. Peter Schaeffer joined the faculty in 1998, appointed as the Ronald O. Perlman Professor of Judaic Studies and Professor of Religion. This man is a scholar. He's a professor. He didn't write a book trying to demonize the Jews. He was writing a scholarly tome on what the Talmud says about Jesus. Okay. His teaching and research interests have focused on Jewish history and late antiquity, the religion, literature of Rabbinic Judaism, Jewish mysticism. He retired in June 2013, and September 2014 he was appointed director of the Jewish Museum.
I'm actually working with Underground Canon. We want to get Jesus in the Talmud onto their website as well, so you guys can pick up a copy of that from Underground Canon soon.
Berlin, Germany. Now, where is this from? Princeton website.
No, I didn't say Sam is going to Orthodoxy. I said he's becoming more sympathetic to Orthodoxy again, because I don't know if you remember, he had that big falling out with us, with him and Jay, and then he's been coming back. He's been coming back around.
Princeton University. Princeton University. Okay? You guys ready to get disgusted? This comes from Gittin 56b, 57a, which is available on Sepharia, an Orthodox Jewish website, and translated.
Sepharia is the website that all those screenshots were from that I showed you on this stream, guys.
So let's look at it from the website itself. And then he explains its significance. And I'm going to contrast that with Islam. You know that? I'm going to contrast that with Islam. As much as you hate Islam and Muhammad, you can't hate him enough. At least the Quran honors Isa and Maryam. Let's go here. You ready? It's all there in the articles.
I can play it at
Well,
I'll play it at we're gonna do 2x, but we'll do like 1.25.
Be patient, man. Stop rushing me. I got to get to Angelos. Don't rush me. I made a mistake. Here you go. Right here. Ready? And Peter Schaefer will expound on
this is crazy, guys. The way he walks through it is excellent. So that's why I want to use his video for this. But this gets insane. Where he basically what the Talmud does is it goes through Titus, Balaam, and Jesus, and talks about their eternal state.
You ready? Is it large enough? Can you see the screen? Okay, let's read. The Gemara relates, or Gemara, Ankelos bar Kalonikos, the son of Titus' sister. Now, who's Titus? He's the general who burned Jerusalem and the temple, and then became, I believe, the emperor after his father's passing. So Ankelos is the nephew of Titus, wanted to convert to Judaism. So he raised Titus from the dead. Necromancy. He contacted a spirit. He died. He went and raised Titus from the grave through necromancy and said to him, who is most important in the world, in that world where you are now? In the underworld, who's the most important? Titus said to him, the Jewish people. Ankelos asked him, should I...
So you see the Jewish supremacy? This is literally throughout this text. You're going to see the Jewish supremacy, the most important people in the world. We saw all the double standards. You can lie to a goy. You can withhold wages from a goy. All these things. It's this constant double standard throughout the Talmud on the Jewish supremacy.
Then attach myself to them here in this world. Titus said to him, their commandments are numerous. You will not be able to fulfill them. It is best that you do as follows. Go out and battle against them in that world, and you'll become the chief, as it is written. Her adversaries have become the chief. Lamentations 1:5. Which means anyone who distresses Israel will become the chief. Ankelos said to him, what is the punishment of that man? Meaning, if you attack Israel, like you did, Titus, what's your punishment? Euphemism for Titus himself in the next world. Titus said to him, now watch, the Talmud is talking about the kind of punishments God will inflict depending on the sin. And it uses 3 examples of people being punished for their sin against Israel. Titus, Balaam, and Jesus. So he raises Jesus' spirit. Watch the blasphemy.
Now, one of the things that, and you guys will see him go over this, but one of the things that we often hear, right, is that, it's not talking about the Christian Jesus. Bro, it literally says Jesus the Nazarene. Like, it says Jesus the Nazarene, and they really expect us to believe that it's not talking about the Christian Jesus. Like, give me a break.
So, Titus, what happens to those people who did what
And that's what Peter Schaefer's entire scholarship is about, is justifying that, no, this is about the Jesus of the Bible.
Who did that which he decreed against himself, as he undergoes the following. Every day his ashes are gathered, and they judge him, and they burn him, and they scatter him over the 7 seas. So what is the punishment? Like Titus burned Jerusalem, he's being burned over and over again. Burn, ashes spread, restored, burn, ashes spread, and this is going to happen to him forever. His punishment is he'll be eternally being burnt to ashes, have his ashes spread, restored, burned over and over again. In other words, he will not be let out of hell, because I guess you may not know this. In the rabbinic tradition, evildoers who haven't committed these heinous crimes will burn in hell for 12 months, but then they'll come out and be wiped out of existence. Are you listening? The punishment of evildoers is that they go to hell for 12 months, then they're taken out and wiped out of existence. They will not be allowed a share in the life to come. Not with Titus and Jesus. According to the Talmud, Titus and Jesus will be punished forever. They will not be taken out of hell a year later and wiped out.
So only 2 people. The guy who literally destroyed and desecrated the temple, and Jesus. Those are the 2 people that are going to face this punishment
Of existence. They will continue to suffer, which means the Talmud teaches Jesus will continue to burn in forever. That's the Talmud. Jesus will burn in forever and ever, according to the rabbis. You guys hear what I just said? And so Peter Schaeffer explains, why is Jesus being punished with burning? Let's see. Okay. Ankelos then went and raised Balaam from the grave through necromancy. He said to him, who is most important in that world? Where are you now? Balaam said to him, the Jewish people. See, again, all three of them saying that the Jews are the most important people in the world to come. Ankelos said to him,
consistent. You read the Talmud, bro, it's consistent Jewish supremacy. You cannot be a practicing Jew and not be a Jewish supremacist.
Should I then attach myself to them here in this world? Balaam said to him, you shall not seek their peace or their welfare all the days. Yalla. Strengthen my throat, Lord. Rebuke Satan. Ankelos said to him, what is the punishment of that man? A euphemism for Balaam himself in the next world. Now, this is why, guys, in previous sessions, I had confused, and thank the Lord you were there to correct me. I thought it said Jesus was burning and boiling semen. No, it's Balaam who was. The reason why I got confused, because according to certain authorities, in certain copies of the Talmud, where the name Jesus appeared, they changed it to Balaam. Now, I'll explain why in a minute. There was an edict sent out to the Jews to expunge, remove all references to Jesus, because the Catholic Church found out about these nasty blasphemous statements to Jesus, and they were being called forth to give an answer. Why are you blaspheming Jesus in your books? So an edict was made, get all the copies you can, remove his name. So in some copies, the name Jesus was changed to Balaam. Now, how do we know that? Because there are manuscripts that survive with the name Jesus in those places. That's how we know.
Yeah, here, let me show you guys what he's talking about. So, and this is from Schaeffer's book here. There's a nice little breakdown on Wikipedia summary of his book. That shows, so like this shows basically from the 13th century on, manuscripts of Talmud were sometimes altered in response to criticisms made during the disputations in response to orders from the Christian church. So sometimes they did it on their own accord. Sometimes they did it as a result of a decree from the Roman Catholic Church. Existing manuscripts were sometimes altered, for example, by erasure, and new manuscripts often omitted the passages entirely. Peter Schaeffer compares several editions and documented some alterations as illustrated in the following table. So you guys can see here, I'll put this link in the chat. So if you guys want to pull it up, but you can see the different variations in the manuscripts, where you can see like some of these texts were just completely omitted because they were obviously blasphemous, and therefore were not permitted to be contained, within the text. And so they were either banned by the Catholic Church or they were omitted because the Jews were embarrassed, obviously, for obvious reasons.
Got it. That's in the book. Just be patient, brother. That's in the book. No, it's actually syncing with the book. You with me there? Now watch here. Ankelos said to him, what is the punishment of that man? You from Balaam himself. In the next word, Balaam said to him, he is cooking and boiling semen. What a disgusting book, dude. As he caused Israel to engage in licentious behavior with the daughters of Moab. Now, Peter Schaeffer is going to explain why each one of them were punished the way they did. Now, why was Titus punished with burning? Because he burned Jerusalem. Why is Balaam being punished with boiling semen? Because what did he do? He enticed Israel to commit sexual orgies. And what's the result of a sexual orgy? Semen. So now he's going to burn in that semen that he enticed Israel to emit by committing sexual orgies in their worship of Baal. Do you understand? The punishment meets the crime they committed. Now, let's go to Jesus. You ready? Here it is. This is Sapphire.com. They don't pull any punches. They say Jesus the Nazarene.
Bro, they really want you to believe this is not talking about the Christian Jesus. If you confront a Jew on this, most of them will say, it's not talking about the Christian Jesus, bro. Dude, it says Jesus the Nazarene. Are you freaking kidding me? How stupid do you think we are, bro? How stupid do you think we are?
Faria.com. Did you get that, Michael Lofton? When over 2 years ago, I went after you because you were trying to deny that Jesus is mentioned in the Talmud. You remember that, Michael Lofton? And I had to call you out for it? Here in your face, Michael Lofton, Safaria.org, translate, and in their manuscripts, it's Jesus the Nazarene. Okay. Ankelos then went and raised Jesus the Nazarene from the grave through necromancy. Ankelos said to him, who is most important in that world? Where you are now. Jesus said to him, the Jewish people. Ain't it ironic? That's what the Christian Zionists say. The Christian Zionists say what the Jesus of the Talmud says. Is that ironic?
Hmm.
Right? So then why is he suffering? Ankelos asked him, should I then attach myself to them in this world? Jesus said to him, their welfare you shall seek. Their misfortune you shall not seek. For anyone who touches them is regarded as if he were touching the apple of his eye. Man, that sounds like what Christian Zionists say. So the Jesus of the Talmud is in hell, burning and boiling. And he's warning then people, hey, cling to Israel, follow Israel because they're God's people. And don't seek their harm. That's exactly the script of Christian Zionism.
Hmm.
Right? Tell that to Lloyd Dion, who tries to defend the Talmud. Now watch. Ankelos said to him, what is the punishment of that man? A euphemism for Jesus himself. And next verse. So now watch Jesus' punishment. Jesus said to him, he is punished with boiling excrement. Jesus is being burned, boiling, and so Dan Belazarian was right. Now, he too became an extremist. See, this is the danger. You hate Islam and Judaism with a passion. They're both from the pit of hell, but at least the Quran doesn't say these things about Jesus.
Yeah, so the point he's making there about Bilzerian is how Bilzerian went too far the other side, right? Bilzerian now is like pro-Muslim. That's the wrong answer too, right? This is why guys, we're Christian. We don't have to be pro-Muslim or pro-Jew, bro. We can just be pro-Christian. And look what these religions say about us. Look what these religions how they talk about our Lord, right? Now, to his point, at least Islam doesn't do this about, they commit other blasphemies, right? At least they don't do this. At least they don't say that our Lord is burning in hot excrement, right? In hell. Lord have mercy. Guys, wrapping up with the clip here, I'm going to be going over super chats right at the end, and then I'm going to cut to my members only live stream. So if you want to send in a super chat, I'll be going over those at the end here in just a few minutes, and then we'll cut to members only live stream where I got a Saints quote for you for my members.
The Orthodox Jews do. You want me there? Okay, so now watch here. And this was his sin. Why is Jesus boiling in? Because he mocked the words of the sages, because he went against the Pharisees. Come and see the difference between this.
Once again, they want you to believe that this Jesus the Nazarene who opposed the Pharisees is a different Jesus than the Christian Jesus. Once again, that's how stupid they think you are.
Sinners of Israel, the prophets of the nations of the world. So notice, Jesus is a sinner of Israel. And yet, as a sinner of Israel, he still has to be honest enough saying, be good to the Jews. As Balaam, who was a prophet, wished Israel harm, whereas Jesus Nazarene, who was a Jewish sinner, sought their well-being. So Jesus is the sinner of Israel.
Yeah, you guys know, everybody's talking about the false dialectic in the comments. This is a great example, I guess, of this this particular figure who was hanged by Muslims and then Jews humiliated his body. Also, Muhammad himself rose to power in a Jewish community. He fled from Mecca to a Jewish community, and that's where he rose to power. If it wasn't for the Jews, Muhammad would have never risen to power.
Jesus is the sinner of Israel. Now, where did I get this from? Sapphire.org. Are they lying too, that they're inserting the word Jesus? No, because that's what they did. They said about Jesus. Now watch here.
Yeah, someone makes a great point here. They both are taking advantage of our tolerance. And actually, that's what this book is about. Here, let me show you. This is relevant to that comment. So this book that I was telling you guys about earlier is very relevant to what this comment said. The Sword of Christ. I don't endorse everything in this book. However, and I'll put the comment here. I'll put I'll put this in the chat so you guys can go take a look at it. But this book is literally about how basically the suicidal empathy, like of Christianity, and you guys can use code Ben for a discount if you guys want to get this book. But that's what this book is about. It's literally about the topic about how like we've allowed suicidal empathy to destroy our societies, while these other religions like Judaism and Islam take advantage of us. So, hang on a second here. Get back to the.
Why did I? Oh yeah, I'm sorry. That was it, because I'm on the page. Here it is, and it's in my article. There you go. So now Peter Schaeffer is explaining, why is it Jesus is being punished? And he explains. He comes up with a theory, because notice the punishment of Balaam matched his sin. Why is he boiling in semen? Because what did he do? He enticed Israel to commit sexual orgies.
Someone's asking about protocols of elders of Zion. Actually, yes, I will cover that. And that's another one that you can get. Let me see here. Right here. Let me put it in the chat. Protocols. That's another one you can get on Underground Canon. So Protocols of Elders of Zion is a very influential text, highly controversial, but I probably will go through this. We'll go through this as one of our book studies too in my group chat, which is totally free, by the way, over on Instagram. But if you guys want to pick up a copy of this too, I just put it in the chat. And once again, use code Ben for a discount. But yeah, that's another one that you guys can look into that is relevant to this topic.
And a blatant act of idolatry. See the semen? The sin of sexual immorality. Titus is being burned over and over again. Why is he being burned over and over again? Yeah, I'm going to do a session on the Holy Mother. That's going to be part 2. Wait till I show you what they say about the Holy Mother. See, you're anti-thematic, fam. You're going to be targeted now. We're going to shut you down. You ain't going to get 7 Gs? Yeah, stick it where the sun don't shine. Pray I can be a man of holiness and boldness and face death for Jesus and not back down. Because without Christ, I'm a coward. He's my strength. So now, guys, you understand, right? Titus is being burned because he burned Jerusalem. Balaam is boiling in semen because he enticed Israel sexual morality. That means Christ must have done something to merit him burning in shit. Well, guess what? Peter Schaeffer thinks it's because of 2 sayings of Jesus. That means the rabbis were aware of the teachings of Jesus. So he thinks the reason why the rabbis say Jesus is burning in shit, because of his saying in Mark 7:18-23, it's not what you put inside of you that defiles you. It's what comes out of your mouth, your heart. Because what goes inside you comes out. Oh, so you think food doesn't defile you? Because it goes in and comes out. So then you're going to burn to that very that comes out of you. See the blasphemy? You see the blasphemy? Schaeffer thinks, because the Lord said, it doesn't matter what you eat. Mark 7:18-23, and he cites it. Because it'll go inside and comes out. It's what comes out of your heart that defiles you. Because from your heart comes immoralities, adulteries, murder, lying. So they say, oh, so you're saying it doesn't matter what you eat. What you eat doesn't matter. Because it'll come out of well, then you're going to boil and that comes out of you. The second thing they do is they mock the Holy Eucharist. Peter Schaeffer is convinced this is also an attack on the Eucharist, meaning when Jesus said, eat my flesh and drink my blood, you'll have life. Peter Schaeffer thinks that what the rabbi is saying, no. If you eat his flesh and drink his blood, it will come out as well. Because remember what Jesus said? Anything you eat will come out. So eating bread and wine that you think is blood is his body and blood, all that's going to benefit you is that you're going to shit. Blasphemy.
Lord have mercy. Lord have mercy. All right. So that is the teachings of the Talmud. Brothers and sisters, we don't have to exaggerate. Those of you who missed the early, you should go back and watch, because I went through the actual excerpts from it. So you guys should go back and watch that, because I actually showed in Safaria where a lot of this stuff comes from, these ideas, and how they're actually implemented. That someone asked a question earlier. How do I deal with the objection that, oh, well, the Talmud is just different teachings, not everybody accepts it. Well, then why is it actually put into practice in Israel? And that's why I gave examples of how it is put in practice. All right. Well, thank you guys for the super chats here. Thank you. Taint said you should invite Ash Mays, a former Orthodox Jew, on to talk about the Talmud more. He is a friendly with Father Stephen DeYoung and Alex Soren. Yeah, I've seen his stuff. He seems solid. I know he's a Eastern Catholic, but it does seem like he's got some good stuff. So maybe I will have him on to discuss this. All right. So I'm going to be cutting to a members only live stream here. I got a Saints quote for you guys. So if you're interested in being a member and supporting me monthly, I think I have it set to $5.99. I can't remember what I have it set to. So if you want to support me monthly, I would appreciate it. And we're going to be cutting to a members only live stream right now where I give some exclusive content, particularly along the lines of Saints quotes that are a little bit too spicy to share on my main stream. And we're going to do that. We're going to go hot on that in 1 minute, 60 seconds. So thanks, guys, for tuning in. We had great viewership today. Glory to God. Please like and subscribe. As always, if you are not subscribed, please do so. Like the video. Let's push this out to the algorithm. This is the content that they don't want you to know about. And so please push it out. And thank you all for tuning in today. And of course, also head over to Underground Canon if you're interested in getting some based books. Head over to Underground Canon and use code Ben for books over there. Take a look at what they got, and then, like I said, we're going over this book in my group chat that it's totally free over on Instagram. So if you go to my Instagram bio, you can join the totally free group chat called Save the West and join us in the fight. Other than that, glory to God, and I'll see you guys on Thursday, Lord willing.